I thought I would take a break today, but I woke up to this. I can't take a break today. So, what's up, everyone? It's Nick, and I talk about basketball, baseball, and football on here. So, if you love sports, this is a place for you. Please remember to like, and please remember to subscribe if you're new, and hit the notification bell. Now that we got that out of the way, cue the intro, and let's talk about the James Harden trade. So with James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets to team up with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, to me, honestly, and this isn't just me being paranoid about the Lakers' chances of repeating, because honestly, I'm still confident that they will repeat. If anything, I actually think that this is going to blow up in their net space. Or maybe I shouldn't just jump to that conclusion yet, but let's just say I would not be surprised if it does blow up in their faces. And reportedly, just reportedly, I don't know if this is actually true. And by the way, I am going unscripted because I woke up to this news and I can't write a script this fast. But just reportedly, Kyrie is not happy with the way Steve Nash is running his offense because he apparently wants more shots, even though he's actually shooting more than Kevin Durant, although Kevin Durant is averaging more points, which is pretty odd to me. Kind of reminds me of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. But now you get James Harden in there, and you know Kyrie's going to be a third guy, and he doesn't even like being a second guy. Now, the three of them together, we've never seen a trio of players be able to create their own offense like these three. To be able to make something out of nothing. Now, there was Steph, Clay, and KD in Golden State, but Klay Thompson is more of a spot-up shooter, not a guy who would create off the dribble. But you get three guys, KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, who can create off the dribble like they can. If this can all work, if the Eagles can be managed properly, it's going to be deadly. Although their defense is definitely taking a hit from trading Taurean Prince and Jarrett Allen. And now DeAndre Jordan is going to be starting. And DeAndre Jordan is not exactly what he was in Lob City anymore. Or actually not even close. They gave up their only source of rim protection in Jarrett Allen. So they're going to need to figure this out on defense. They have a really potent offense with three of the best scorers in the league right now. Three guys that can create their own shot at an elite level, but defense is looking really suspect now after this trade. And James Harden, okay, he's not the meme of a defender that he was back in the mid 2010s, and he is actually a good post defender, and he does get deflections, but he's overall an average to slightly above average defender, really, and he definitely doesn't make the Nets a whole lot better defensively. And right now the Nets are 12th in defensive rating, but they were towards the very top in defensive rating at the very beginning of the season. But overall, yeah, it's definitely not a great defensive team right now, and they gave up so much depth just to get James Harden. They still have Joe Harris, though, and he can space the floor for you. He's just not a good defender. They still have Bruce Brown, and Bruce Brown played well against the Nuggets. And they have Landry Shamet. Well, Landry Shamet has not shot the ball well at all this season. If one of these guys gets hurt, and we know Kyrie's injury history, well, Kevin Durant, he's only really had two significant injuries in his career. And James Harden, I can't even remember when he's had a significant injury, to be honest, at least off the top of my head. But if one of these guys goes down, then they're going to have to rely on just two players. And now the Lakers weren't exactly the deepest team last year either, but it didn't really matter with LeBron and AD, and the other guys, they were at least good enough to help the Lakers win the championship, and they still had a strong defensive core, just not a really strong scoring option outside of their top two players. But with the Nets though, other than Joe Harris, who else do they have that's gonna really be able to step it up if one of these guys gets hurt? And also the other thing with the Eagles, for a rookie head coach to handle the Eagles that he's dealing with, it's not exactly ideal. And he has Mike D'Antoni as an assistant. Now, I met Mike D'Antoni before. Super nice guy. Although I don't view him as a championship coach. And when it comes to dealing with egos, yeah, that's why he stepped down in New York. And also with the circus that was happening with the 2013 Lakers, yeah, he wasn't so great at handling that either. So maybe the best case scenario for the Nets really right now, unless they make another move, to solidify their defense. These three guys, there might be some games where all three of them score 30. And they could just outscore their teams and it won't even matter on defense because they're just so deadly on offense. But usually that doesn't work. We saw how deadly the run and gun Phoenix Suns were on offense, but they didn't play defense. That's why they couldn't make it past the conference finals. Now, they didn't have a deadly third scorer like the Nets have in Kyrie Irving right now. But with Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, and Shawn Marion, they were always so deadly on offense. They were always among the top of the league in offensive rating, but were always below average in defensive rating. But yeah, the ego problem, that's something that could be troublesome for the Nets. If it was just Kevin Durant and James Harden, then okay, I don't think that would be problematic. I certainly believe so when Kevin Durant is an excellent off-ball player while Kyrie Irving really doesn't play off-ball. Although James Harden at least was able to play off-ball until Mike D'Antoni became the head coach. When Mike D'Antoni became the head coach, that was when James Harden became the guy that you'd see dribble like 20 times and then go ISO. Well, maybe if James Harden is going to probably buy in now because he finally got out of Houston. But he's still had problems in the past with getting along with star teammates. Although when it came to Dwight Howard, it was more of Dwight Howard wanting to stay in the post even though he was really a better pick and roll player. And then there was a problem with Chris Paul. So there is still a chance that Kevin Durant and James Harden, just the two of them, could be problematic. But I think that'll be a lot less likely than if it was Harden and Kyrie. Especially right now, with Harden and Kyrie lately being in the news for the wrong reasons. And also, as we all know, James Harden and Kevin Durant have been teammates before and they've remained good friends since then. Those are just my initial thoughts though. And Karis LeVert to the Houston Rockets and Karis LeVert to the Pacers and Victor Oladipo to the Rockets. Now the Rockets actually tweeted this. Okay, but anyways, the Pacers probably don't want to pay Victor Oladipo because of his injury history. Although Victor Oladipo has actually played pretty well to start the season and is looking like he's coming back. Although Victor Oladipo at his best when he's healthy is easily better than Karis LeVert, but I guess I can kind of understand why the Pacers would rather go with Karis LeVert. Either way, it's a risk because Karis LeVert is not better than a healthy Victor Oladipo. But if Victor Oladipo has his injury woes again and then you got to pay him, then yeah, it's tough luck for the Pacers. And the Cavs got involved in this trade, and how many big men do they need? Although Andre Drummond will probably get traded at some point, but just seeing that many big men on their roster right now, it doesn't look right. But for the Nets in general, I don't think this is going to be like a Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett situation because you got your three best players in their primes right now. Like, yes, they did give up multiple first-round picks in order to get James Harden, but you got James Harden while he can still put up 26 points per game while he's fat and out of shape. But if he can get in shape and get rid of that belly he's been carrying since the season started, then yeah, he's going to go back to, well, maybe he's not going to average around 34 to 36 points per game because he has Kevin Durant and Kyrie on his team, but he could definitely at least get close to 30 points per game, probably even score 30 points per game. But the defense is a problem without Taurean Prince and Jarrett Allen, and chemistry is another thing that I'd be very worried about if I were a Nets fan. I still feel good about my Lakers' chances of winning the championship. As for what the Rockets got back, I would have preferred Ben Simmons, even if he and John Wall aren't the best fit together. I'd still rather build a championship team around Ben Simmons than Victor Oladipo. But if Victor Oladipo is healthy, and he's been playing well so far this season, then it's not that bad of a return package, not to mention all the first round picks they got, and Christian Wood is looking like the clear front runner for most improved player. You know what though, with the Rockets, most of all, if I were a Rockets fan, I'd just be happy that this saga is finally over and they can get back to caring again. From a Sixers perspective though, when speaking of Ben Simmons, I can understand not wanting James Harden because of the baggage that he brings. He's definitely a better player than Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is a far better defender, but James Harden is just that much better offensively. But because the Sixers have good chemistry right now, I don't really blame them for not wanting to mess with that. But for the Rockets, though, I just think that Ben Simmons would have been the better return package. That's just me, though. In fact, I think that's most people, actually. But yeah, it just is what it is. And overall, though, I just think that honestly, it just doesn't really scare me that much. The potential of the Lakers Nets in the finals just really doesn't scare me. I think that the Lakers still got this. So, just my raw reaction to the James Harden trade, because this is what I woke up to. And yeah, it's 10 o'clock now. It's time for me to watch the Lakers game. So that's it for now. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you next time.